We're continuing in storm mode this morning to get you out the door where you need to be. I'm Karen Greer.
Good morning. I'm Gervier Dinsa. Thanks for staying with us here on Facebook Live. The concern is black ice this morning, and I know both of you have been right on top of it.
Yeah, I've been watching it real closely, and for the most part, it hasn't been a huge issue, which is a good thing.
Yes.
You know, we were on at 4 o'clock this morning. I know a lot of people were up early this morning, wanting to get the latest on any school cancellations or delays, and it's always a very close call when it comes to black ice. It's a race against time. Basically, you have wet pavement, you have colder air coming in, but when that colder air comes in, usually you have a breeze, and that can help to dry the pavement. So that's been the way it's gone this morning, is that it hasn't been a widespread problem. Although, Rodney, on the roads, we had a big traffic issue earlier.
Yeah, we did, and this is actually ongoing as we speak. So I'm like texting Izmir because he's actually in the road tracker right now. If you have been following us on the morning show, jackknife tractor trailer A, which is bad enough, but it was also a fuel truck. So that made it to where it took a while to kind of clean up. Multiple tractor trailers still in the area. There's a look at our G.cam right now that is at the scene of 75. This was 75 to 285 in both directions, 75 southbound to 285 in both directions. I'm looking at this live camera just like you are, and I can now see that they are letting traffic go by. So I'm going to go ahead and point this out for you here, which I can't, but that's okay. So if you look at the screen, the top of your screen right below Cobb County, that's that exit ramp to 285. That is now back open. We have been watching that all morning long. That is what was closed, but again, it is back open now, so you are good to go as you go southbound on 75, taking that exit to 285. But the other problem that we have are your delays. The road was closed for so long that delays are all the way back to Kennesaw. So at last check, your trip time from Kennesaw on 75 southbound to 285 was about 45 minutes. That was your total trip time because of this incident. So Fred, even though the road is back open, 285, that ramp, you're still going to see a ton of delays just getting on 75. So make sure and plan for that. And within the next 10 to 15 minutes while we're on here, we're going to show you a lot more coverage on the traffic and look at some of these traffic cams.
Yeah, it was bad timing, bad location for that to happen. And the backup, Izmir said it was basically slowed traffic for over 3 miles. And it's good that they've cleared it, but takes a little while to unclog the arteries, so to speak. So let's switch over to our weather graphics now and talk about what's going on outside, because we were concerned about some black ice. We thought it would be patchy. It has been very patchy, which is good news, and it has not been an issue in downtown, in midtown, because the temperature has stayed slightly above freezing. This is right now a live look at Centennial Olympic Park, and you'll notice that the walkways, they are still wet, at least in spots, because we had some light showers come through in the 2-3 o'clock time frame in the overnight hours, keeping the road surfaces, walkways, driveways, pathways wet this morning. And as the temperature fell, there was some concern, certainly from us in the CBS46 Weather Center, that we deal with some patchy black ice, but the temperature has stayed slightly above freezing, and now we're just about 15 minutes away from sunrise. Once the sun rises, that puts an end to any black ice threat, because the temperature is not going to continue to fall after sunrise in this type of a setup. Although right now it's 29 for Carrollton, but there's a reasonable chance out there that the roadways are mainly dry. And the same story as you go farther north and west, because the showers overnight were confined to the Atlanta area and points south and east. We'll check out the radar in just a second. 34 this morning in Midtown, 34 for Buckhead, 35 from the airport, Hartsfield-Jackson to Forest Park to Decatur and Stone Mountain. You get into Smyrna, you get outside of the perimeter, and it starts to get a little bit colder. 32 for Smyrna, 31 for Woodstock and for Ackworth, and 29 for Emerson. And it's up in this area that the temperature has been below freezing for most of the morning. It's been very close to freezing Alpharetta and Johns Creek. So there may be some spots from Alpharetta to Johns Creek to Dunwoody to Sandy Springs that are 32 or colder right now. So watch out, watch your step as you head outside this morning. We've been watching these very feeble showers in Henry County and Spalding County, Pike County, that have been drying up as the morning has gone on, and there are still some clouds hovering overhead. So we'll see those clouds for a while this morning, get into a little more sunshine as we go through the afternoon. 9 o'clock this morning, the temperature is actually up a few degrees. and it's above freezing everywhere except for the far North Georgia mountains. And I'm not sure if we have Adam Harding, who has been up in these mountains. He's been at the highest elevations checking on the snow. If we have Adam, are you there? Adam's not there. All right, well, we don't have Adam. But I'll tell you, he was up and he was playing in the snow. Rodney and I both saw it on CBS46 this morning. So that's where there's the bigger concern of seeing some icy travel early this morning through the mid-morning hours. Notice how by 11 in the morning, temperatures are above 40 degrees. Adam is there. Adam, first of all,
Fred, I was in the car trying to get warm.
Understood. What's with the one glove look? Is this a little Michael Jackson thing we have going on?
Yeah, well, yeah, you know, we get up here, we're in Brasstown Bald, which is the highest point in Georgia, and it took us this long to find any snow on the ground, which you can see right behind us. And look at this gorgeous sunrise that we're about to see in the next few minutes here. So we get all the way up here this morning, and it's right before showtime at 5 a.m., and I'm going through my bag thinking, of course, I brought my earmuffs with me, and I got my gloves, and I only had one glove. And I thought, well, you can't just go with one glove. If you don't have the other, it just doesn't make for a good look on television. So we went with no gloves today, but I could show you. Nonetheless, I'm from up north just like you, Fred. We're used to kind of snow like this. And there's not a whole lot, really just a dusting right now. And it really doesn't stick together. It doesn't clump together all that well. And this was what we tried to get as far up as we could go, but then the road just closed right up here. And if you can read the signs, they say ice on the road. And that, of course, is the big concern with the black ice that you've been talking about all morning long. So we haven't seen any. And what I can tell you is when we drove up this morning at around 2:30, 2:45 from Atlanta, we were keeping a very close eye on the roadway because we just didn't know what we would expect, especially when it was dark outside. It was almost impossible to see just too far down onto the roadway. Good news is, A, not a lot of traffic, B, it was just warm enough in the metro, and C, it looks like GDOT had pre-treated the roadway, so we saw a lot of that salt and sand mix on the road. So that was good, making sure that we all had a good grip on the tires of the car. So when we got up here, about 10 minutes south of where we are is when we first started to see some frost and some snow. And now it really is just a beautiful winter wonderland where we are here, right by the North Carolina border. And I'll tell you, all morning long, I'd been saying the Tennessee border is where we were. And then Rebecca Schramm texted me and she said, no, dummy, you're near the North Carolina border. And I likened that because well, you know what, I had a brain freeze. It's so cold up here that I knew we were far away and I knew we were close to another state and we're closer to them than we are to you.
Right.
But all of that said, it's beautiful up here, no school up here, and the roadways, kind of hard to see right now. Looks like, looks pretty clear right now, but certainly you want to give yourself a little extra time, a little extra caution if you're traveling up this way.
All right, Adam, well, thanks. Yeah, and that's understandable. You know, it's 2:30 in the morning and you're heading north, you know that. You just a little more north-northeast than north-northwest, that's all. Yeah,
if I don't know where my gloves are, Fred, do you really think I know what state I'm near? Come on now.
Well, you found the snow, and we're happy for that. And we're also happy that there's not a lot of real black ice issues up in that area either that saw the snow yesterday. The roadways there are getting a lot more treatment than the roadways typically get around the Atlanta metro area. You mentioned Rebecca, and I believe we have Rebecca who is up in Dawsonville this morning where schools are closed. And Rebecca, it's what they call an online learning day. And I said this during the newscast, but I'll say it again. Back in my day, if they said, oh, you have an at-home learning day, it would have been a lot of Nintendo, a lot of Atari, and not a lot of learning for me. But things have changed now with technology.
Yeah, Atari in my day as well, Fred. Yeah, and for the record, I never called Adam a dummy. I would never do that. He's my friend. But I did tell him, I did straighten him out a little bit on where he was exactly. We're a couple of counties south of where he is, but we're still 60 miles north of Atlanta. And look, we've got some nice and clear roadways. We had a little breeze overnight. The rain stopped. And so really it dried up most of the roadways. We were talking with a sheriff's deputy earlier, and he tells us he rode all over the county overnight. And the only patches that he thought would have some issues, he went up on a mountain road and he found that it was kind of slushy, but the county work crews had really done a good job of clearing everything up, making sure they treated the roads. And so he said it was passable. So we're going to go check it out now that we've got some daylight. We'll certainly check it out. But I did want to show you this because our my little thermometer app here shows 31 degrees now in Dawson County. So it makes sense that they would have canceled classes, knowing that the temperatures were going to hover around the freezing mark, and now we're below the freezing mark, and not knowing what was going to happen with all that water, all that rain we had yesterday. Even if you weren't on a mountaintop where it was snow, they certainly didn't want to deal with the potential of icy roadways. Again, we don't think there are any icy roadways here in Dawson County. We're going to go check out some of those mountain roads for you, and we're going to have a full update on CBS 46 News at noon. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Rebecca. And that's the thing, it's always such a close call. The temperature got cold enough in Dawson, but the breeze was just enough to dry out the roadways, at least most of them that Rebecca has seen so far this morning. So that's actually a good thing. You know, we were on early this morning at 4 o'clock just to follow this very closely and in storm mode, because as you can see, temperatures are at or below freezing in a good chunk now of northwest Georgia. Still slightly above freezing though, and we're really close to sunrise now in Atlanta. So there's not going to be widespread black ice throughout the Atlanta metro this morning. It's good news. Right, Rodney? I mean, this is the
Standing news.
You know, it's always such a close call, and it's a case where we want it to be better safe than sorry.
And I just want to say, following up on what Rebecca said, I have called Adam a dummy multiple times in our lovely career together. So
yeah.
I want to take it back to our road temperatures that we've been talking about. We got a traffic alert for a lot of reasons, Fred. As you go north of Atlanta, and we've talked about this all morning long. You have your air temperature, which is what you're used to seeing. That's taken off the ground. Once you actually get to the ground itself, these are the temperatures that you're looking at. And a lot of these temperatures on the major roads north of Metro Atlanta are at freezing or colder. So that's why if there's any water anywhere, whether it's precipitation that's left over from yesterday, snow that's left over from yesterday, or even if there's something like a water main break, you know, just any water of any kind, once it hits that road, it could freeze. And the black ice part of it is what you can't see. So, for example, if you have rain and there's no rain this morning, but any water that's left over that freezes, it's very difficult to see, which is why the black ice is such a big concern. I wasn't really seeing a lot of that in Metro Atlanta, which is certainly good. But as Fred mentioned, you know, when you get into the bridges and overpasses, that could also be possible. But the good news is that in Metro Atlanta, after watching a lot of these road temperatures, they're close, but not quite at freezing yet. So if you're in Metro Atlanta, like Atlanta, DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, Clayton County, you're good to go in terms of the road temperatures. North Cobb County, North Cherokee County, you're right on the cusp. But that's something that we're going to continue to watch for you. I also want to get you back to what we have been following here all morning long. We had, Fred, of course, the jackknife tractor trailer that was a part of our coverage for quite some time. I want to give you an updated trip time here. So this is Kennesaw that you see behind me, Kennesaw southbound to the perimeter. So that's to 285. Your trip time has gone from 40 minutes to 36 minutes. So that's a little bit of improvement, but still way longer than what it's supposed to be, Fred. And just for perspective, where you see the red, that means that that's longer than normal. And for those of you in Kennesaw coming out of Cherokee County, as you go to Atlanta, your trip time is almost 1 hour. So we'll bring up this camera. This is our latest GDOT camera. We've been watching this all morning long. You can still see there's activity here. So as you take a look at that full, there's activity. There's still trucks off to the side of the road. But the most important thing here is the fact that the road is back open. So for quite some time, you couldn't even get onto 285 in either direction from 75 southbound, Fred. But now that road is back open, so you're good to go. Still may not be a bad idea, though, to take 41, although I say that whenever we tell people to take an alternate route for an hour, then but that becomes a problem too, right? So 41, you know, Cobb Parkway is probably not in good shape either. But that's really the biggest thing that we're watching is the situation that was going on in Cobb County. You're still going to be super delayed. So if you get to work on your Friday, just allow yourself some extra time as you go southbound on 75.
Yeah, slow down, but not a complete stop like it was about a half an hour ago.
Exactly.
So at least heading in the right direction there. Just to recap, weather-wise, black ice did not turn out to be a major concern in the metro area. That's good news.
Right.
As the sun is rising now. There will be some clouds overhead. It'll be chilly today. You know, it's a good day for comfort food, and I brought you some this morning. I brought you some chicken cacciatore.
I appreciate that. Now, we have to be honest. I still don't know what that is. So you just put some stuff in a...
No, so it's chicken. It's got some tomatoes in there, some olives, some mushrooms, some peppers. It's like not quite a stew, but it has like a broth to it. It's over rice. And I think it's pretty darn good.
So you know what I'm really looking forward to? So we got our coverage now, and we're looking, good in Atlanta. But man, when I go home in this cold weather, and I don't have to do anything for the rest of the day, I'm gonna break out that. We're gonna see how good you can cook. You said it's your first time doing it in Atlanta.
Yeah, first time with Chicken Cacciatore in Atlanta. Anyway, it turned out pretty good. So we are coming up now. We'll have another update on CBS46 coming up at 7:26.
Yes.
And if necessary, we'll come back on Facebook Live. But it looks like we're very close to sounding the all clear as far as any ice.
Which is
issues.
good.
That is good.
Yeah, because it's Friday and we don't, you want to get your weekend started. We need some sun for the, first time in forever.
Yeah, you're right about that. All right, so thanks for joining us this morning on Facebook Live. We hope you have a great weekend. We will see you bright and early, well, dark and early at 4:30 on Monday morning with Karen and Gavir.